Can an app that was recently acquired for over $1 million be built using no-code tools? Well, that's what we're going to go over today. If you haven't heard of Wordle, then chances are you probably haven't scrolled through your Facebook feed recently, but Wordle is a word game that was recently acquired by the New York Times. And in this three-part video series, we're rebuilding Wordle on Bubble. This is Wordle. It's a pretty simple word game, but it has recently taken over the internet. You've probably seen people posting about it, but not giving away the answer for the day. And as you can see here, the New York Times recently bought Wordle for over $1 million. Now, before we go any further, if you are new around here, then you might not know that we at Coaching No Code Apps are pretty much sticklers for not cloning apps in order to build your own app. And we also don't usually publish a lot of content or tutorials on how to build things like games. But the reason why we're going through this today is, number one, because Wordle is just really popular and we thought it would be fun. But number two, and most importantly, because we want to show you what's possible with no-code tools. In these videos, we're breaking down the entire development of Wordle, from the UI and UX to the database structure to the workflows and everything in between. And we really want to show you what's possible with no-code tools, what's possible with Bubble, and really how much you can leverage the tool for yourself. All right, it's that time. Hit the subscribe button below so you can be notified of the upcoming segments of this Wordle series, plus all the future videos that we release on no-code apps every single week. Let's get going with part number 2.
What about our physical keyboard? We definitely want to be able to handle that. So notice that I have not used any input elements in this design. I am just working with custom states because I really do need to manipulate each letter. And I don't want an input to mess with like the page. Like you have to focus on the right input. It needs to go in order. We don't want them jumping around. So we're going to rely fully on custom states to keep track of the individual letters. But how do I set a state from a keyboard, a physical keyboard? Bubble doesn't have a built-in function for recognizing specific keys, but they do have a plugin for this. The plugin is called, where is it? It's actually a pretty experimental plugin. It's like very much in beta, but for what we need it for, it's perfect. This one right here, mouse and keyboard interactions. So we're going to be using this action, this event, where is it? User presses a key or combination of keys. It's more for like creating shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts. So you can say Control plus A, and then something happens in your application. We're going to use it for much more simple things. Is I press a key, I want to know what that key was. That's it. So because I have it installed, it's already available in my workflow events here. Let's see, under interactions right here, user presses a key or combination of keys. And here's one problem that I already knew about ahead of time. This does not take a dynamic value. I think you can cheat this by setting up a dynamic value elsewhere and then copying, pasting that expression in there. And we have to set this up for every single key in the alphabet. So it's 26 things. You could use a repeating group. The problem is you can't pass, it would be challenging to pass a value inside of your repeating group cell out to the page that we're on. It's just the nature of something existing inside of a repeating group cell. You can't really communicate that data very well. There are some workarounds. I've also considered like reusable elements and things like that. But all of those alternatives, and I really did sit there with like a notebook thinking through how to do this one piece here. How do I grab the keys that I'm clicking by using this function here? I don't want to use any JavaScript. I don't want to use anything fancy. There are a few workarounds that could probably play around with repeating groups and using, there's an orchestra plugin, which allows you to communicate data in and out. There's another repeating group like extractor plugin. And I realized that all that stuff is just overcomplicating it. And it's going to take me like a minute to simply create a separate event for every single key in the alphabet. like, yes, I'm going to have 26 of them here, but it should be the most reliable thing. I won't have to manipulate the database anyway. I don't have to leverage the database. I don't have to use other custom states. I don't have to, create like global variables or do like a looping workflow or anything like that. Because I did think through all these other things to make this as dynamic as possible, simply to avoid having to create 26 events, when at the end of the day, that's going to be the most reliable thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Feel free to speed through this part of the video. So I'll show you here. The first thing I'm going to start with is A, because I'm just going to go through my keyboard in order. I'll start with Q. So if they press Q, then what are we going to do? We're going to trigger a custom event. I just realized that custom event is very handy here. We're going to trigger the custom event, and the workflow thing is going to be the letter Q. Oops, not one. The letter Q, right? We're passing a specific letter. With key 1, 2, and 3 from my keyboard, that's more dynamic because they're sitting inside of a repeating group of text. But here, this is Bubble is recognizing what I have just clicked on my physical keyboard. So I need to pass a specific letter here. So this is a specific letter, right? I press Q, I'm going to pass Q to my custom event, which is going to end up appending that letter. So just with Q, just to make sure we're doing this properly, before I go and do all of the other ones, I'm going to refresh the page, and we will see both of these in action. So first I'll do, let's say S, okay, that's on the on-screen keyboard. Now with my physical keyboard, I'll hit Q, and there we have Q. And I just noticed that I'm going to have to uppercase those. And if I go back to another letter, F, right, and then back to my physical keyboard, Q, there we go. There's no delay or anything like that. It's really nice. So let me make sure that keyboard key, how about we say at the custom event level, we will append that text and we'll uppercase it. That way it's always uppercase once it gets here, whether it's from the physical keyboard or the on-screen keyboard. Okay, so now it's going to be a little tedious. Let me actually put this in a folder here. I'm going to create a folder for keyboard, let's say physical keyboard. And I have a folder here, right? User presses Q. Maybe make this, let's go ahead and color this so that when I copy and paste, all of my physical keyboard workflow events are going to be blue. So I'm going to paste this, and this is going to be the next letter, W, right, and W. So I'm going to do this for every single letter. I'm going to go silent for a bit. Feel free to speed through the rest of the video. Almost there. Y and Z. Really hope I didn't miss anything. All right, let's refresh here now and see. So that took like a couple minutes to put together. Definitely much less time than doing anything fancy with a repeating group for that, or reusable element, or any other crazy workflows, plugins. Okay, so let's see. Physical keyboard, C-R-A-N-E, all capital letters. I don't have my backspace programmed, so that's not going to work, but my backspace here should still work. All right, so let's do another press for the backspace. Let's say backspace, okay, and it's going to have to do the same thing that I did before. We need to truncate. So let me actually move this to my regular, let me create another folder here for virtual keyboard. All right, so these guys, this one, delete, is going to be virtual. This is virtual. I won't bother with the colors for now, but it will help me keep things organized. So when I hit delete, looks like this is going to be another good scenario for a custom event. So we'll do that. Create a custom event for delete key. And this will, I don't think we even need to pass any data because we're just calculating. I'm going to copy this here. There. I guess I could have replicated and replaced the event, but we're here now. It's just 3 actions. And this one here as well. Okay, So truncating to and then updating based on how many numbers. And then now this delete on the virtual keyboard can trigger my custom event for delete. And on my physical keyboard, where did it go? I think I actually removed it. Here, presses backspace. Physical keyboard is also going to trigger my custom event. Delete. Okay, so let's just test that out. Now we have all of our inputs and saving our letters. All right, so here we go. Coffee break. CRA. Excellent. Okay, so now let's do, what do we want to do next? Let's set up our data source for our guesses. So when we click on enter, right, this is going to be, we'll just trigger things from the virtual keyboard for now. Here, we need to send the guess to the backend workflow, have the backend workflow check the word of the day, and parse out the letters and make sure that each letter is in the right position or not. This is where things are going to get a little bit more advanced. So let's actually just set up a data type here to store our words. So I'm going to go into my database and create a data type called word. And I'll have a field for, we'll say the full word, and this is just going to be a single text. And then also the letters that make up the word. I think that's going to be helpful to have it broken in. So if I were to release this game, which I'm not, this is for educational purposes only, and I were to upload a big bank of words to my database, then I would just want to make sure that I have that content, you know, with all the words split up. I could actually just import full words only and then use a workflow in the backend workflows to split everything up for me. Just like I did when I extracted with that regular expression, I could do the same thing to pull out those individual letters and save them to this field. But I'm just going to go to my database here and I'm just going to create a word. We'll say the word today is going to be happy, and letters H, A, P, P, Y. Okay, so this is our word that we'll be checking against, the word happy. So I could have more entries, but I only need one word to test everything and make sure it's all looking good. Now in the backend workflow, which is what I have pinned here, so I'm going to unpin it now that we're pretty ready for it. This is going to receive the guess. So I'm going to create a new endpoint, and this is going to, we'll call this check guess, like that. And I need a parameter to receive the guess itself. This is a text. Okay, so on my page, when the user clicks on enter, oh, this is the, where's my enter key? I haven't programmed that one yet. That is here. Okay, so group enter is clicked. This is in our virtual keyboard. We'll go there. And I'm going to make this green because this is just, you know, that's our submission. So here I'm going to, oh no, I don't want to schedule that workflow. I don't want to trigger it from the page. I actually need to go through a custom API call. So I'm going to create an API call, like a plugin for my own app, to trigger that backend workflow and then return the response here on the page. Because if I were to schedule that backend workflow, I cannot receive any result from the backend workflow if I do it this way. I have to actually make a call as if I'm outside of the application, triggering that backend workflow. Here's my guess. The backend workflow can return a response, but when you do it this way here, you don't have access to that response. And I don't want to save anything to the database. Okay, so I'm going to create an API call in my API connector here to my own workflow API endpoint in this application. So I'll create a new API here, and this is going to be called Wordle clone. I'll leave it open for now, no authentication, and this is going to be check guess, and this will be an action. So this is the action that I will actually trigger in my workflow. I'm not doing a schedule API workflow, again, because I cannot get the result of any backend workflow, like data that's generated or anything, if I trigger this. This is just scheduling that workflow to happen. Okay, so I'm going to create a custom call that I trigger, because the call can receive a result, and then I can reference that result as, you know, the result of this call, result of previous step, can tell me whether my letters are correct or not. All right, all that to say, let's build this call here. So this is going to be a post call to my own backend workflow. So if I go to my settings, API, here's my endpoint like this, and yes, and I'm going to paste this here, and then the name of my backend workflow was, what did I say? Check guess. So I'll grab that, and that's going to be the name of the endpoint. And here's where I'm going to submit the guess. So the parameter is, yeah, guess, which is just a text. And let's see. And so this is not going to be private because it's going to be a different guess every single time. And let's just guess, you know, let's say hello, like this. And just to verify that I'm setting this up properly, I'm going to, in my backend workflow, this is the action that I'm going to be working with. Return data from API, right? So it's going to receive a trigger with a guess, and it's going to do it's going to look up the word in the database. So this is all happening server side. And then it's going to return a response via this action. So the result of my API call is going to be whatever I pass through here. So for now, just to initialize this and prove that I've set this up properly and they're connecting and talking to each other, let's say, hello world, I see you. Okay, so right now it's not taking into account my guess. Doesn't even matter whether I have a guess in there or not. I'm just triggering that backend workflow. So let's see if we've got everything right. Initialize, let's see, you must authenticate. Okay, let me go to my backend workflow and turn this on so that it can be run without authentication, and try it again. Returns a non-object, you pick JSON. Let's do, let's see here. I want to receive a text. Okay, there it is. You see down there? Hello world, I see you. Cool. So it's communicating properly with that backend workflow now. It's like we're doing a call to our own API, kind of like we're stepping outside of our app to come back into the app. All right, so now let's do something with this actual submitted guess here. So in the backend workflow, first thing we actually need to do is find the word of the day. So I'm going to, this is what I like to do for this sort of thing. If I just need a reference to the word, I'm going to say I'm going to make a change to it by finding it, but I'm not actually going to make a change to the word. So I'm going to search for the word, and we're going to say first item, right? So this step here can now reference the result of the previous step, which is just the word that was found. I'm not actually making a change. I'm just using this action to have a reference to the word at the beginning of the workflow. Now, I only have one word in my database. If I wanted to truly find the word of the day, and I had like 1,000 words in my database, I could say, you know, I could have a date for each word, and maybe every single day I randomly choose the next word for the day, and it's only on that day where we say, okay, today's this word of the day. That way we don't have like pre-planned 100 days out what all the words of the day are going to be. That's how I would handle that. I'm not going to get into that for this tutorial. I really just want to be able to submit a guess, see if my guesses are correct, do the color coding, have that UI. That's really my goal for this here. So I'm going to just locate my word in the database, and this is happening server side, which was important to me. I didn't want to have the word available on the page. I could have done that. That would have been a lot easier, but I'm trying to challenge myself here and protect the word so that you can't get to it from the database, from the browser. So we can create privacy rules and stuff around this word so that you cannot access it. All right, so I'm locating my word, and now I need to return data to the, you know, to the thing that's triggering this API workflow in a structured way to let me know the position of each letter and whether it's correct or not. This is where I have more notes, so I'm just going to pull that open here so I make sure I kind of go through this and don't forget anything here. So I'm going to create an option set to, oh yeah, this is my option set that I created because I was just trying to test things out. So this is my option set for the choices of the possible results for each letter. So the letter is either going to be not in the word, or it is in the word and it's in the correct position, or it is in the word or it's in the and it's in the incorrect position. So these are, I'll rebuild this so that you guys can see. I'm gonna just name this, old or something like this, and we'll create a new option set. We'll call it Wordle letter result. I don't know why I did it like that. Wordle letter. Why the hyphens? Nobody knows. I always like to put OS for option set at the end so I don't confuse them with my data types. Okay, so the letter is either going to be not in word, or in the incorrect position, but it is in the word, or in the correct position. And you probably saw in my little sample there that I had before that I had a custom attribute for the color, because the game will represent basically these results per letter with a color. If it's in the correct position and it's in the word, it's green. If it's in the word but it's in the incorrect position, it's yellow. And if it's not in the word, it's like I think it does change. It's not the background color. It's like a slightly lighter gray. So we'll look at it in a second here. So I'm going to add an attribute to this option set to hold on to the color. That way we can dynamically display the colors. This is just going to be the hex code for the color. So I'll add those in a little bit. I have to copy and paste the hex codes for that. So when the backend workflow receives a guess, we need to evaluate each letter per position in the word of the day and then return a result, one of these option set choices. So, and the way that I'm going to send this back is in a JSON structure so that I can reference everything really dynamically in a really organized way in the repeating groups. I want to be able to reference a list and go to a specific number. So I pass a guess. This backend workflow is going to send back a result for every letter in that guess. It's going to be a neatly organized list with all the same structure. And that way on the repeating group, I can just say, okay, go check item number, the first letter in the result, the second letter or the second item in my result, the third item, so that we match up our repeating group cells with this list, trying to keep things as streamlined as possible. So this does require a little bit of JSON structuring and making sure that our formatting is correct here. So this is where I have some of my notes here. So I'm going to layer this all in within an object called results. And the results is going to be an array of objects. Each object is going to have the result for each letter. So I'm going to have 5 objects within this list of results. So let's see. Okay, so our array begins with an open bracket, right? We're going to have an open bracket and a closed bracket. That's going to contain our array of objects. And my first object, right, open curly bracket, close curly bracket, this is going to be made up of the result position, and I think we also need to pass the letter itself. I think so. It wouldn't hurt if we did. If we don't use it, then we don't use it. But letter is going to be, so this will do the result of step 1. This is the actual word, right? Letter, item number 1. No, sorry, not of the word itself, not of the word of the day, but of my guess. This should be guess, and then extract with regular expression, right, with the period, so that I can get the first letter. I'm going to have 5 objects here, right? So item number 1 is going to be my first letter, and then this will be inside of the quotes there, right? This is the first letter. My guess, extracting with regular expression, so I can split up that guess into its individual letters and take the first letter in that guess. wonder if I can, now I'm wondering if I can just pass the individual letters from the beginning. That way I don't have to do this extraction every time. I do the extraction when I send the guess from the page here, which is going to go through this, right? So this piece here, when I send the guess as a parameter, maybe instead of sending it as one word, I send it as a list. Is that going to complicate things for me? No, I'm going to try that. I think that'll make it a little bit easier for me. So I'm going to expect here a list of texts for my guess. And so now I can say guess item number 1. That's my first letter, because now the guess is a list of letters. Maybe let's change this to letters like that. Guess letters. Okay. All right. So we want guess letters, item number 1. And that's just kind of returning what letter it is we're evaluating. And then the next field here in this object is going to be the result. Maybe we call this something else. Result, letter, and then we'll just call it position. So it's going to be one of the 3 option set choices. It either is correct, incorrect, or not in the word. So here's kind of, this piece is where the magic happens. This is where we have to check if item number 1 from my guess matches item number 1 from my word of the day. So we're going to have some yes or no evaluations. So if the result of step 1's letters, item number 1, this is my word of the day's first letter. If this is the guess letters, item number 1, then we're going to send back the result of correct position. So this is giving me a yes or no value at this point, this expression here. So I'm going to convert that yes or no. I'm going to reformat those as some other value. I don't want it to send back yes or no. That doesn't mean anything to me because I have 3 possible choices, not 2. If this was binary, it would be a little bit easier, but it's not in the word, or it is in the word in the incorrect position, or in the word in the correct position. So if the first letter of the word of the day is the first letter of my guess, then I'm going to change the yes response to the option set choice of my Wordle letter result to correct position. And it's just going to be the display of that. Okay, and I think I need to put quotes around this here. Quotes. This, so we can have quotes around the, around that result, right? Correct position. Now, if it's not that same letter, then we need to check to see if the letter even exists in the word. So if the result of step 1's letters contains my letter item number 1, then we're going to format it as a text again. Okay, we're like another layer deep here. So if it does contain it, then we know we've at least guessed that it's there. It's just in the wrong position because we already evaluated at the first step that it is not in the right position. So this will, let me just copy this expression here, like this one, right? So if it's not in the right position, then we need to check, is it even in the word? So if it is in the right word, or if it is in the word, it's going to be the incorrect position. If it's not in the word, then that's our last piece here. Let's see, this one, like this. Now we can say not in the word, because by the time we get to this no, we've already evaluated that it's not in the right position and it's not in the wrong position. It is just not in the word. I think that evaluating this in any order would have gotten us the same result, because I could have first checked if the letter was in the word to begin with. And I think I could have still gotten to the same kind of multi-level of evaluation to rule things out. I started with, is this letter in the correct position? I just started from that point there. Okay, now, before I build out the rest of the letters, I want to make sure that my formatting here is correct. Let's see, I need to do one ending curly brackets to close everything here. So let's do a little test. I'm going to initialize my call now. Where is it? Here. This now needs to be a list of letters. And when you pass in a list, I think it has to be formatted like this. So what is my word again? It's happy. So let's just do the word happy. So H, comma A, comma P, comma P, comma Y, and close the bracket. So I'm passing a list of texts, and the result I should get back is correct position because this is the word. Now I'm only evaluating the first letter. So let's try that out. Missing data, oh, I changed the name of my parameter. What is it again? I did guess letters. Guess letters. Okay, initialize. All right, yeah, you see that there? Correct position. Now I'm going to change this because my formatting of my result is actually in a JSON structure. I'm going to change this data type to JSON so I can work with it more easily in the repeating groups. Returns a non-object and you pick JSON. Let's see, let's do content type. Oops. Application JSON. Turns a non-object and you pick JSON. Why is it not? It should be returning it to me properly. Let me see what I missed here. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a formatting tool to help me because I have a feeling that my indentations are not correct. I could be wrong. But I'm going to use a tool called JSON lint, which is just to help me format my JSON expressions or just the whole block of text here. It's also very helpful for validating and making sure we're not missing anything. So the structure, what I'm trying to do is the following. Results like this, and letter A, position, correct position. And let me capitalize them because I believe I capitalized them in my option set. And then close that, and then I'll do another letter, another result, right? So let's say letter B, and maybe we'll make this incorrect position. So let's say I only have 2 of those, and then I want to, I believe this needs to be, it's my array, close the array, and close my results. So let's validate that. Yes, that's my valid structure. So all this indentation here, this might not be what Bubble is having an issue with. I want Bubble to recognize the response as a JSON structure because that's really important to get the repeating group to work with things properly. So I'm gonna have to, well, let me just create another action here so I can copy and paste things. So we'll do plain text, and then I'm gonna paste that in there so I can have my initial setup. Actually, I might as well just do it for all 5 so I don't miss the, so I don't get the formatting incorrect for the rest of them. So let's do 3, all right, so that's 3, 4, 5. And I'll make sure I don't have that final comma. Validate this. Okay, so now I have the full structure, and let's go to this, and now I can just replace everything. So before I do that, I'm just going to run the call with all this static stuff. I'm going to hit terminate on this and see if we get a good response here. So this should be, well, with text, let's just make sure. Yes, text, there's all the data, and then JSON. Yes. Ooh, yes. Okay, I'm so glad. I was like racking my brain in the background, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do if this doesn't work? This is exactly the structure I wanted. So now I have, now I can reference this in my repeating groups and say, okay, take result number 1. Tell me if this is in the correct position or not. Take result number 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. So now I can just replace these values with my evaluations. So let's go through this one more time. I'm just going to copy from here. So A is going to be replaced with my guess letters item number 1. This is going to be replaced with guess letters item number 2. Here, number 3. Once I get the first one set up, I can just copy and paste everything because it's all dynamic, right? We're passing a list of letters and it's going to split them up and evaluate each one independently. And then we're going to also dynamically parse those out in our repeating group in our UI to show the right colors to let the user know if what's what. Okay, so now we do the position, and then we'll be able to test this all out. So the position here is going to be this one. Now this is specifically for item number 1, item number 1, item number 1. I'm just checking to see if there's anywhere else I need to change item numbers. There's a few places, so I can't get those mixed up. I'll remove that last I here. Okay, so this is now item number 2, item number 2. Here, and also inside of our formatting, this is item number 2. So 3 places we need to make a change. All right, so 3 more to go, 2 down. And like I said, this is really where all the magic happens because this is our actual validation. With this, we'll be able to show the right colors. Okay, now I can remove this and this. So this endpoint is receiving a list of letters. It's going to find the word of the day. And then for every letter, it's going to check to see if it's in the right position. So let's run our, I keep accessing this in different windows. So let's pass happy. Okay, so they're all in the right position because it's the right word, right? H-A-P-P-Y. Let's pass a different word here. Let's do my trusty, again, according to the internet, the word crane. And so let's see if we can predict this, right? So happy, the only letter that matches is the A. So it's in the wrong position. So we should get not in word, not in word, incorrect position, not in word, not in word. Not in word, not in word, incorrect. Awesome. This is so exciting. Awesome, awesome. Okay. All right. So this position here, this bubble can match this up with our option set. So this one here, Wordle letter result, is going to recognize this as the display for an option set because that will help me get to my colors properly. Okay, so let's now go. Now we have our backend stuff. Now we have, it is able to check for the right word and it's giving us all the right values. So in the, I'm just so excited about this. When we click on enter, now we're going to trigger the action, right? So I set this check guess action as an action, so I can use it in the workflow, and we'll run it here. Check guess, and this guess letters, I need to provide each letter of my word separated like this, comma separated with quotes, and then brackets around. So the brackets I can leave in place, but I'm going to replace this here with, inside, go on, inside. We're going to do the Wordle clone current guess. That's my custom state, right? I'm appending all those letters, so I'm taking that guess and then extracting, or what can I do? Yeah, we're going to extract with regular expression and then a period here, and then format that list of letters as text so that for each letter I can put quotes around them, because that's how it needs to be passed to the backend workflow to be recognized as an array of letters. So this text is just representing the individual letter, and we're going to comma separate them. Awesome. Okay, so the whole reason I had to go through a custom API call is because now I can actually receive those results as a result of this step, right? If I believe I'm going to need another custom state. Let's do on the page here, a custom state, which is a list of all of my guesses. So every time I guess, it's going to send me back results for each letter, the result of 5 things. But I'm going to have 6 guesses. So I need a list of the guess results. We'll say guess results. And this is a list of the outer object that contains each of the letter results inside of it. So I just need to reference my my custom API call, check guess result. Check guess result. No. I think it's just check guess. I think this is what I want. That's the parent. The result is the individual letter. So check guess is a list of the parent results, but inside of that should be a list of the individual letter results. So when I check guess, I'm going to set the state of the page and add my new guess, because you can only click submit. You can't take back a guess. So we're just adding to our list of guesses. Guess results is going to, is going to save this to Wordle clones guess results plus items, the result of step 1. Yes, okay, that expression works there because we're going to the right data source. Notice how within this result, we get the individual results for the letters. That's what that each item's results represent. So we'll be referencing that in a second here. So now I can keep track of the individual guesses. So that is going to be our data source for this group here. So we're back in our grid. We have our repeating group of guesses, the just 1 through 6 rows, right? Those are just numbers. And then there's a group inside of that that's just keeping track of that number. Guess number 1, guess number 2, guess number 3. Then there's a group inside of that to help us look up the result of that guess. And then the data source is going to come from my custom state, Wordle clones, guess results. Here I'm going to go to item number, my parent group's number, right? If I'm in guess number 1, it's going to show the result number 1. If I'm in guess number 3, it's going to show the result number 3. Right? This is a list of my results. So I want to make sure I'm referencing the right one. And the reason we need those data sources in those groups is because I need to be able to color code the letter group, the background, properly. So in the condition of this group, I'm going to say, all right, here's where it all comes together. If the group guesses result count is greater than 0, meaning we have a result, right? If the count is greater than 0, then we'll change the background color to the custom attribute. So group guess. Okay, group guesses, check guess results, item number, current cells number, positions, color. Yes. Okay, we're obviously gonna have to test this. So let me grab these colors here and fill in my custom attributes from here. So let's, what are my colors? Let's guess. This is on the actual game here, just so I can grab some colors. Hopefully I get a little bit of everything. There's the green. I also like to work with the word story. Okay, I think I have one of everything here. There's our faded out gray for if it's not in the word, the green if it's in the correct position, and the yellow if it's not. So let's grab the gray first here. Word letter, this, correct position, hashtag this, incorrect position. Okay, here. Okay. Refresh. Okay, crane, enter. All right, so they all got colored gray, but the A should be that yellow color. So I might have some things mixed up. Position is, oh, it said it's not in the word. Let's see, that's not right. A is not in word. My word is happy. So why did that not come in? Probably because of some capital letters, because I'm submitting the guess as all capital. So I guess it would make more sense in my database to store these as capital letters, because then we don't need to do any other conversions. It's easier to do that than to convert further in the workflow. So we'll change this to all capital letters. P. And notice I'm not actually using this full word here for anything so far. All right, let's submit it again. Okay, cool. And see how it showed up in the second line because I have not refreshed the page. So this is actually the second guess. And if I do, let's say, I need to, yeah, we have like a lot of conditions and stuff that we need to change here. So if I do HAPPY, it's going to evaluate it in the third line like this. Yeah, there we go. So that's all correct. Awesome. This is looking really good.
That wraps up this segment of our Wordle build. If you found this video useful, we'd love for you to hit the like button below. It really helps us out. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you can be updated when the next videos come out. Again, we hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you in the next part.